Right, I can't lie, guys. I literally think that this might be one of the most bullish charts I've ever seen for Bitcoin, and I want to show you why in this YouTube video. There is so much to go over, and why I think that actually new all-time highs could be on the edge. I'm still, as usual, going to balance this by talking about both sides, because you guys know the deal on this YouTube channel. I am here to cover both sides as a realistic trader, not fucking, get on the bandwagon that everybody else is on just to celebrate. I'm here to make money, not feel the hype. Okay, so that's really, really important as a distinction. If you're brand new to the YouTube channel, then welcome. Make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss out on this very time-sensitive content. Where do I start? The first thing I'm going to start with is by talking to you about this pennant here. Now, we actually took the measured move of this pennant earlier on in a different video, and it looks something a little bit like this. And if we go ahead and extrapolate a target from that, that would put us at about 68.4, and the high that we've set so far is 67.7. So we've done very well at reaching the top of this zone. We've very nearly gotten there, and so for me, I'm actually ready to remove this line now, and not look at it as resistant, as a potential target anymore, because we pretty much hit it. And what we've also done with this resistance zone now is we've hit 67k successfully for a few days. Now, you guys probably noticed we've been here for about 4.5 days, and if you have been paying attention to the kind of analysis I've been covering with you guys on this channel lately, I've been going very in-depth with you guys lately on the way that we hit our support resistance levels. You know, one thing that you'll notice on this YouTube channel is that we're actually going pretty in-depth on the market, but we're not really even using indicators for most of the analysis. And the reason for that is that I've got, and you will have as a result of watching these videos, a very solid base, a very solid understanding of technical analysis. Okay, and when you've got that, you don't need to compensate for a lack of skill in analysis by throwing on a bunch of indicators on the chart. One of the most useful ways that you can actually assess if the price is going to break resistance and if you're going to be able to go higher is by looking at how quickly rejections come in. You see over here, we're on the 4-hour time frame. Over here, the market got a very quick rejection off the 67k. This is the middle of April. The next time we got here, it was a little bit slower. The market spent about 2 days up here, 1 day and a bit, depending on how you measure it, about 2 days up here at this resistance level, and then we got the rejection. On this occasion so far, we've basically been hitting this zone now for about 4.5 days, potentially even more depending on how you view it. And that's showing us that our resistance level is basically becoming what I would call mushy, right? We're getting more of a mushy zone of resistance in this market now, which means that it's going to be even easier to break it. And of course, if it's easier to break it, we could be looking at that breakout coming. And what's really nice is that this is also coming after we have managed to fall out of our range to form a deviation. And after we started this kind of mini uptrend, we've also had a nice correction here, right? This correction from high to low takes us down by about 8%. And from hitting the high to breaching it, it's been about 9 days. So not only was it a nice controlled rejection in terms of like how low it took the price and how slow it was, but it's also now continuing to bolster the case that Bitcoin has tested the downside. The downside was not successful for Bitcoin, so we're looking for liquidity on the upside now, and that might very well be where we're finding it. In addition to that, right, there's a lot of good stuff here. I'm going to talk about the bearish stuff in just a second, so don't worry, guys. I am going to balance out this analysis, but in addition to all of that, if you look at the very micro setup that we have on this chart right now, we are also forming a beautiful ascending triangle, okay? We've managed to largely maintain these lows, which means punching in higher lows. And granted, this only happened twice, but this first attempt here was pretty profiled. I mean, we had some, quite a bit of, price action at this particular level, so really nice kind of validation here. And, obviously we've been maintaining the floor. Now, of course, usually I'd want to see I would want to see 3 tests of these kind of things in total to call for an ascending triangle. So, maybe we're going to get one more here. But also, this is a very short-term, kind of local price pattern, right? This is only like a 4 or 5 day pattern. So I can't expect the moon and stars from this right now. I'm just looking for general characteristics, and the general characteristic here, even if we're, regardless of kind of expecting that ascending triangle should look a particular way, the general characteristic of an ascending triangle, and the reason people love them so much, is that you're gradually setting higher lows, right? The market is rejecting a low over here the next time we come back down and saying, actually, I don't want to wait for the price to come down that low. I want to pick it up even when it's a little bit higher, because I think it's going to go even higher, right? So again, on the micro here, from that particular perspective, we're actually showing a very strong sign, which to me strongly implies that the market may be able to continue to move up out of this ascending triangle pattern. So that is all absolutely fantastic. And of course, if any of these things happen, if it's only one thing, but if this does end up happening, that next potential zone of resistance for me is going to be sitting at about that 69.5, 70, 71 type zone of resistance, right? That's basically what I would be looking at the next time if we get up there as resistance. And I don't think that it's going to be strong resistance. You know, I've been covering with you guys extensively using tools like the fixed range volume profile, you know, that I actually think that this zone at 67K is Bitcoin's most important zone on the chart, or at least Bitcoin's second most important zone. The point of control is right here. This is the biggest volume spike that we've got here. It is, I think, overwhelmingly clear that the 67K zone has been Bitcoin's most important zone for a while. It flipped a little bit. It became 63 for a while, but I think it's back to 67 now. They're both obviously very important. You know, and by the way, 63 is still quite important. It's still in play. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. If you are excited for me to talk to you about some potential bounce opportunities and smash up the likes. And in this video, I will also be covering some of the key trade setups that I want to be taking in this market right now, across altcoins, across Bitcoin as well. So I'm super excited for that. Of course, if you want to trade these markets in the same place that I'm trading these markets, you can do that by coming on to the description, and you'll see links to the exchanges that I use right up top over here. Bybit remains the best place to trade in the market as far as I'm concerned. They do require KYC, but once you deposit your capital and start trading a little bit, they are going to give you up to $30,000 in completely free trading capital. You can buy shitcoins for free, 0% spot trading fees, which is absolutely sick. And if you want an alternative with no KYC, BingX currently doesn't require KYC. They will require it soon, but not for everybody. So this is a great alternative as well, where they're giving you up to 135K. In fact, most people, I think, won't have to do KYC. I'm not sure. I can't say that for sure, but definitely check them both out if you are interested. And 2bit is completely no KYC. So that's also super cool, with up to $9,000 in, again, trading bonuses. When you start trading using my links, you will get that capital deposited into your account for you to trade with. With any of these exchanges, any profits you generate with that money, they are yours to keep. They are yours to withdraw. So if we take a look at the VPVR here, again, very, very strong signs here showing us that this is a key zone of resistance on this chart. But it also means that if we're able to get above this particular zone, then we've broken the key zone of resistance. And that's why I can't really expect this kind of 70K zone to be too much of a problem for Bitcoin. I think that we've already, you know, basically challenged the most important zone, and we've challenged it incredibly well. So I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing. I just want to zoom in a little bit while this price action is happening right now. Bitcoin managed to, just in the last few minutes before I started recording, exceed its highs from earlier today, and it does have another high up here at 67.7. That's obviously the high we were talking about a little bit earlier on in the video. I think if we breach this high, then it's off to the races, and we are trending up, and we are going to be headed towards 69, 70K as far as I'm concerned. I think if we break that high, you know, that's kind of the key level. And I don't think that Bitcoin is going to be slowing down anytime soon after that. So that's actually quite close. This might happen by the time you're watching the video. It might not. Generally, obviously, the longer it takes, the better in terms of being healthy for the market. And yeah, you know, in terms of resistance here, you know, there's a couple things I'd like to see. You know, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a strong area of resistance, but it is still resistance. You know, maybe we get a pullback down into this zone. You know, that's a nice little buy. Maybe the next time you come a little bit higher still, before you know it, you formed another ascending triangle, and bam, you are off, right? So that would also be absolutely fantastic. I think this is also great that it's lining up with the S&P 500. The S&P 500 managed to open its new weekly candle here. And by the way, I actually need to show you the Bitcoin weekly chart. This is actually, I should have teased this to you guys at the beginning, but the Bitcoin weekly chart is the single most important thing I'm going to show you in this video. It is absolutely huge. It's the most bullish sign that we've got on the chart, actually. I don't even know why I didn't start with that, but you'll see that in just a second. But with the S&P 500 here, opening this weekly candle up here with a nice gap to the upside and basically flirting with those all-time highs already. Obviously the S&P 500 did breach its previous all-time high quite recently, and when the S&P 500 is back into brand new all-time high territory, that's it. Like, you can't really stop it. It's just going to go and go and go. So that is absolutely great. I am aware that that hustle sign is probably very annoying, so I think I might move that. The lighting in this room is not great. I need to fix that. That will hopefully maybe be done today. I'm not actually sure yet, but stay tuned for that. But yeah, S&P 500 definitely back to trending upwards at this stage. And if the S&P 500 is going to be trending upwards, well, typically when it starts, it doesn't stop for quite some time. We've also seen gold perform incredibly well. Obviously, this has been a long-term prediction that I've been making on this channel for quite some time. I've been 100% correct about it. That's not surprising. That's just standard procedure. But I have been telling you guys, when that gold explosion comes, it is going to be explosive. It is going to be very quick. And here we saw a 20% pump within 50 days, which is astronomical in terms of speed and power for gold. We haven't seen anything like that for many years. And I do think that this could definitely continue now or soon. It doesn't matter. It has started, and that is the crucial point. So that is absolutely great. Like I said, with the S&P 500 looking good, I think all of these things continue to paint a very positive image for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin needs a positive environment for traditional finance in order for Bitcoin to do well, purely because Bitcoin is a risk-on asset. And if you are looking at a risk-on asset, well, then you need the safer markets to be looking good and healthy for the risky market to look attractive. And it's actually the same thing with meme coins. I'll talk to you about meme coins in just a second, but we've started to see some significant pullbacks in the meme coin market lately, and that's coinciding perfectly with Bitcoin waking up, right? And that really tells us a lot, again, about the exact same psychological elements in these markets, which are that when Bitcoin is slow, when Bitcoin isn't really doing anything, this like ADHD energy that the market has drives people to go into altcoins because, they want to make money somewhere, somehow, quickly. But as soon as Bitcoin starts looking interesting again, these meme coins get dropped very hard, because now you can make money in the safe thing, which is, of course, Bitcoin. So, and again, just while I'm continuing to make this video, we are starting to see Bitcoin continue to push up here and potentially swing above that high. So if this does continue to go well, I might actually do a live stream for you guys. Let me know in the comment section below if you want me to do a live stream on this price action as well, and I will definitely do that for you guys if we get enough interest for it. But that's also looking super cool. Let me show you the coolest part, though. Let me show you the weekly candle. The weekly candle is by far the coolest part, because we closed the previous week yesterday, and since yesterday, we've been able to see the best weekly candle that we've had in quite some time. We had a bullish engulfing here, but this bullish engulfing is absolutely fantastic because it's happening since Bitcoin has been in a downtrend. Bitcoin was trending down for 6 weeks straight, pretty much, including this candle here. It did close green, or in this case blue, but it was still part of the downtrend. And this one candle erased 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of price action just in one shot. And that to me is absolutely huge. Let me just show that to you again, just by measuring this candle for you guys, and you can see that we've eclipsed 4 candles inside of that one candle. And there are some really famous examples of this happening before. The most viable comparison to today, the most realistic comparison to today, was right here. Just to give you a sense of perspective, we're looking at, this is the high from 15K, this is the big rally, this is our 7 months of shit, our 7-month punishment. And if we really zoom in right here specifically onto this candle, what you'll see is that we had the exact same situation that we're looking at right now, like fucking exact same situation. It's so impressive, where if I just draw what this candle represented on the weekly time frame here, we eclipsed 3 weeks of a downtrend, which started a little bit earlier from a much higher level. We eclipsed 3 weeks of a downtrend in this one weekly candle, and the result was that Bitcoin set a brand new all-time high afterwards. So, this was literally the bottom. Bitcoin didn't trade lower than this from this point onwards. And of course, Bitcoin did instead rally up to $74,000 for a brand new all-time high. So absolutely huge. There's many more examples of this. There are examples where it doesn't go so well either. So it's not, the be-all, end-all. Here's another beautiful example. Again, coming in a downtrend where we've got, kind of slow price action. If we really take a closer look at this candle as well, we can, again, just drop the same two lines just to see if this candle does eclipse the previous ones. And this one is very, very tight, but you can see that we do, with this 1 weekly candle, we do manage to eclipse the previous 3 weeks of candles over here. And again, what this represents is that within 1 week of price action, within just 1 week of price action, ladies and gents, you are completely erasing everything bullish, everything bearish that happened in the previous 3 weeks, okay? And so this is almost like, you've got a kid that's in the boxing ring trying to learn how to fight. He keeps getting knocked down, keeps getting knocked down, keeps getting knocked down, and one day he decides, fuck this, I'm standing up, I'm going to punch this motherfucker back. And that's exactly what Bitcoin decides to do right here, and that is absolutely fantastic. Smash up the likes for that, ladies and gents, because that is by far the most bullish thing that we can get on this chart right now. If we take a look at what happened previously, when this happened, from this candle, to the all-time high, it was 185% to the upside. Let's have a little bit of a fun imagination session here. And if the same thing were to happen to Bitcoin now, that's $190,000 for percentage gain. And if we take a look at this one here, from this candle open to this all-time high, that was 120%. And if the same thing were to happen here, 120% would put us at $140,000. So very, very exciting price targets if that does end up happening. Like I said, it's not foolproof. It doesn't play out perfectly all the time. We had a bullish engulfing right here, which engulfed these previous two candles. But the circumstances were different. What I'm talking about to you today is we have a downtrend, and the downtrend bleeds into a bullish engulfing. This one was just a bit of consolidation and an uptrend. This one was, again, a downtrend that bleeds into a bullish engulfing. And the one previously over here, again, a downtrend which bleeds into a bullish engulfing. So right now, we've got a very typical setup that, from my experience, and I've been trading for 7 years, ladies and gents, that from my experience, this setup does typically produce huge, huge upside for the market. Definitely something which I would not sleep on, definitely something which I would not take for granted or that I would take lightly. When I'm looking for signs that tell me this is looking strong, this is the best one. Let's just zoom in here because it looks like we have just gotten that breakout, by the way. Look at that on the minute time frame, absolutely huge, which does mean that our next zones that are going to be important for this market are going to be this next zone of resistance I've got here. I've got 68 painted here, but I'm not too worried about 68. It's going to be this, kind of low 70s type range here. Which is where I think Bitcoin might be able to go to. This is less relevant now that we've gotten the breakout, but I did want to talk to you about the downside. Obviously this could still be a fake out. That's always possible. You get a deviation and come back down. In terms of support, we've already bounced off our first beautiful area of support at 65, roughly like 65 and a half. Our next beautiful area is down here at about 63, and there is also a phenomenal Fibonacci to be found over here. We can't really use it that well anymore because of this breakout, but let's say the breakout tops out here, just for example. We've still got really nice Fibonacci support at the 618 here and the 382 here at $63,000. I think that if we lose this level, we're in trouble, but the key level that we need to hold is 60. This prior low right here, super, super, super important. I really don't want to lose this one. As long as the market kind of stays above this level, we're good, and this level, we're great. Anything down to here, I'm actually going to welcome. I would like to see it. Basically breaking this resistance level, that's where we start to validate some really nice moves to the upside. So we'll see what happens. I don't want to get carried away with this kind of price action. We need to see a nice big daily close above the area of resistance. I've already actually depicted this to you guys before, but I want to do it again just for a refresher. This zone is very important, but you've also got to understand that it stretches, a little bit, right? Like this spike on the VPVR, is best illustrated, in my opinion, with a box, which shows us that, the bottom of this box is where resistance begins, the middle of the box is where it peaks, and the top of the box is where resistance ends, which means we are still in this zone of resistance. We would have to get above 68K and then, get a daily close or get some really nice hourly 4-hour closes in order to really validate that breakout. Anything before that, and we're very much still in fake out territory. So that is something which I would urge you guys to keep in mind, to prevent yourselves from getting carried away in this market. Let me talk to you a little bit about altcoins now. We've seen very, very stable altcoin prices recently, which is great. I think that if Bitcoin is able to get the breakout, you might continue to see Bitcoin's dominance climb. That has happened just in the last few minutes as well. Look at that. Bitcoin's dominance going from about 55.9 up to 56 again, which is fantastic. The key setup actually that I wanted to show you on Bitcoin, by the way, before I forget again, is that if Bitcoin is able to get above this zone with some really nice confidence, let's say specifically just the red line, because the red line's really clean right now to represent this zone of support resistance, depending on what you want to call it now, because we are above it, so it is maybe support. I would, you can either go long, right, just above, when you get the breakout, like right now, but the problem is you might end up going long on a wick like this and the price comes down straight away. So in my experience, one of the safer trade opportunities is actually to wait for the market to get above the key level and then substantiate itself with those key closes and then come back down and enter on this drop and then trade it back up. That's usually been something that's a way more successful strategy in my opinion. It's not as exciting because you don't even know if this trade is going to happen, right? Like the price can get above this zone of resistance and then never even come back down. That happens sometimes. It's way more common that it does come down for the retest in my experience, but sometimes it just won't happen. And you might be a little bit bitter about kind of missing out on that trade, but to me that's part of what makes a trade good. When you don't actually know if it's even going to work for you, that's how you know that actually you might be onto something very useful and powerful here. So that's something which I want you guys to keep in mind as well. There's going to be lots of opportunities similar to that in the altcoin market. And I think, if we take a look at something like Ethereum, this is continuing to slide down right here. It's still not looking good. I think it could continue to come lower. And so for me, these 0% spot fees available on Bybit to buy altcoins, this is going to start looking really interesting when I start picking up a lot more altcoins because, I think they're going to continue to approach some really interesting potential buy levels, right? Here's Cardano again, just continuing to slide down to the bottom of its ADA BTC range. Solana is actually holding up pretty well. It did manage to break out of this zone of resistance, which is fantastic, and it also flipped it into support, which is even more fantastic, again strongly implying that there could be some nice upside for Solana here as well, it being one of the coins that really stand out from the crowd. Here's Phantom also doing the exact same thing with its zone up here, and so these zones could turn into some potential buys. And again, all of this stuff super interesting because of the free capital that these exchanges are giving you, meaning that you are able to make risk-free trades with money that isn't even yours, but still take home the profits, withdraw those profits if you did make money. So that is super, super cool. Definitely check them all out if you're curious with the links down below. Definitely something which I think is quite interesting. I'm going to come back at you guys with some more content a little bit later on with this market. If you want to see a live stream on this content, and especially if we get a breakout, let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, ladies and gents, I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do if you have. Hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.